On today on Eagle Eyes on Tech, Elon wins a lawsuit by being completely unbelievable. Nintendo takes shots at YouTubers for showing emulation. Ubisoft is in danger of being bought out, and YouTube Shorts are about to get quite a bit longer. We'll cover it all in detail and all that and more coming up today on Eagle Eyes on Tech. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, North Story. I'm good buddy. This is Eagle Eyes on Tech. I am Eagle Falcon. We have a lot to talk about today. Well, it's kind of funny. We say that every week, right? Because that's just good stuff. You always want to go ahead and make sure that you say that, that's always a good reason to watch. You always a good reason to watch. I'm not gonna lie. I actually expected more news this week. There's a lot to talk about. Don't misunderstand. We have a lot to cover, especially in regards to the gaming world. The gaming world is really interesting this week, but it's Techtober. Usually there's announcements coming out of the woodwork for this little thing, that little thing, and the other thing. There's either been such a quiet rumble that it didn't cross my radar at all, or there's nothing, or my radar is broken. It's one of those, and I don't know which it is. But let's get dystopian for a moment. Let's go ahead and talk about a rare California law win. I'd say we'd go ahead and make that a reoccurring segment, but let's be honest, Californian law, for the most part, does not usually win. Usually, it's very, very petty. That is just how California law usually is. However, this is one where it's a huge win for the average person, and kind of dystopian that we need this law at all. California updates its privacy laws to protect neural privacy. This means that companies cannot store sensitive information regarding the neural pathways of your brain. And the fact that this is a thing that we can gather beyond just your medical records, but something that can be gathered for, say, marketing purposes by major tech companies like Facebook and whatnot is, I'm not gonna lie, really does make me believe that we are not that far away from major cities just being a cyberpunk dystopia. I exaggerate a little bit, but the fact that this law exists and the fact that we can look at it and go, yeah, that's probably for the best. It says so much. Oh man, it's a real thing now. Someone in chat said DNA protection would be beneficial. 23andMe may go bankrupt. The thing is that, no one is trying to go ahead and map out DNA for the purposes of trying to figure out how to manipulate you, right? There are companies trying to look at neural pathways and trying to figure out how to use that for marketing. How much success they've had, I don't know. But just, if it weren't for the fact, I'm not going to lie. If it weren't for the fact that law actually does have some need in the world, it would absolutely be a last burb story. Anyway, let's go slightly less dystopian. Let's talk about Steam. If you're a Steam user, you probably, in the middle of an important game session, or in my case, a rating session, had a pop-up come up in the middle of your screen from Steam saying that their terms of service have changed and you need to agree in order to continue to use Steam. What was that about? It's interesting, actually, what that was about. See, Valve has a very interesting privacy policy and a user agreement, or rather, its subscriber agreement. The way it worked before was that there was forced arbitration in there, which is unfortunately par for the course, meaning you could not sue Valve. But Valve, unlike a lot of other companies that just say you can't sue us, deal with it, did say that if there is any sort of legal dispute, you agree to take it to a third party, and Valve would cover the cost up to, it was something like 10 grand or something like that. You know, it was something along those sort of lines. So it was a very unique sort of forced arbitration. Valve, because of recent lawsuits, has now been forced to drop that forced arbitration, but that clause I just mentioned, where they'd cover costs when you go to third party, that is now gone as a result of this. So now you can go ahead and sue Valve in a sort of class action lawsuit if you so chose, but if there were disputes, that's no longer covered. And before you go ahead and email me, that's not exactly what it says. It says, I am not a lawyer. I know there are videos explaining this in far greater detail. Here's the thing. I have a lot of topics to get to, and there are people who could talk about this that are much more informed about the law, that talk about this for, I'm not even kidding, over a half hour. And that's the condensed version. The real basic summary. What you as the average consumer need to know is that if there's a dispute, you can now sue Valve, but a thing you never did before is no longer available to you. There may be other avenues that are in there for any sort of arguments or anything like, but here's the weird thing. Other than being accused of having a monopoly on the PC gaming space, when was the last time you heard about Valve and Steam being the bad guy? I'm sure there's been bad marks on Steam's history, but it's actually shocking that despite the fact that Valve literally, not figuratively, literally has an almost complete monopoly on the PC gaming distribution market and is running themselves, for the most part, very ethically, we take that for granted. Chad actually does bring up a good one. The fact that accounts are not transferable for the deceased actually is actually a pretty big oof for Valve, and I do actually wish they turned that around. I really, really do. That might be the only one of recent memory. The 30% cut is bad, but it is pretty standard nowadays. There are a few other platforms, Epic Games being one of them that comes to mind, where you can, in fact, have a better cut. But the thing is that a lot of the features that Valve has, the ability for Valve to just let developers just make basically indefinite Steam keys and distribute them as they see fit for the platform. So I mean, the only thing they don't allow as far as the Steam keys for making infinite keys for their game and just distribute them is that they cannot sell them for less than they do on Steam. It's understandable. It's actually, the more you look into Steam, it's amazing how much they just stick to their morals and just keep doing what they do. It's a welcome breath of fresh air. Heck, the numerous times there's been like scamish games that sell on Steam, what's Valve's answer to it? They just refund it. They do the consumer friendly thing and go, you know, we really should step in here and make sure the customer is done right, and then we'll deal with the scam company later. Actually, someone else in chat brings up a very good one. The mining of bananas. The Steam marketplace does the digital goods marketplace of Steam does make me kind of cringe a bit. I'm not going to lie. That is one of the biggest black marks that Steam has. With the whole banana game, the fact that a developer basically used Valve's marketplace system as an NFT marketplace, and Pirate Software did confirm the fact that anytime you sell digital goods for a game on the Steam marketplace, the developer gets a cut. It's basically confirmed. The makers of the banana game made bank on the craze they developed with that. They made out like a bandit. Someone else in chat tries to say CSGO. I don't know if I'd consider CSGO like a bad mark. CSGO 2 is just kind of oof. But I mean, Valve almost doesn't make games anymore. I can't even say that. Like, honestly, they just made, what was it? Not Vanguard. What was the... Well, maybe it was What is the name of the game that Valve made? I am drawing a blank on this. I should know this. Deadlock. There it is. Yeah, Valve recently made Deadlock. That's still in open beta. Or I'm sorry, closed beta. TM. It's open beta. And that one's just kind of being weird, is kind of being a weird success flop. So it's being poorly managed. CSGO 2 was just kind of a weird cash grab sort of thing. So it was barely an update, but it felt like they had to do it. They just kind of forced one out. The market for like I said earlier, the entire marketplace system, I don't like. I don't like the marketplace of Steam. That is like a pretty big dark mark on Steam. But here's the thing. I can ignore the marketplace 100% and still have a fantastic experience. Easy. So yeah, that update happened to Steam to varying amounts of fanfare and question marks. All in all, you know, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. You know what is bad though? Ring is doubling the service cost for their alarms. You know what the worst part is? Ring is doubling the price of its monitoring service. This is only for legacy customers, apparently. I don't know what the difference is between their legacy customers and their current ones. But allegedly, Amazon said they warned customers 3 years ago. However, The Verge, in a very, very, very rare moment of actual journalism from The Verge, I know, I am shocked as well, actually went back and looked for the email that The Verge, or that Amazon or Ring originally sent out to warn their customers that yes, in fact, your price is going up. And guess what it said? 3 years ago on the email that Amazon said they sent out to warn customers their price were going up, the email just said, the name of your service is changing. That's it. Thanks. Thanks, Ring. Thanks, Ring. Thanks. You wouldn't think things like this would be allowed. You would think that, in fact, companies like this would have some minor case of actually wanting to go ahead and not commit fraud, want to actually do something to not find any form or any sort of avenue to go ahead and be sued for any kind of false advertising. You would think that's the case, but here's my question. They're gonna get away with it, aren't they? Someone in chat says already Amazon hasn't put any more money in actually improving the services they already control, like Alexa, Bling, and Ring. Or, I'm sorry, Blink is what they meant to say. Blink and Ring devices. The funny thing is that I would have said the same for Twitch, because for the longest time, and we've actually seen this quite a bit on Twitch, ever since Amazon controlled Twitch, they did almost nothing to improve Twitch, and it was left to rot until finally Amazon shoved Dan Clancy into the CEO space and then said, "You fix." And I gotta wonder, when is Amazon gonna find another Dan Clancy to go throw at some of these other companies they own? Because it almost felt like a trend to me that anything Amazon buys, they ignore and leave to rot under the desk, like a kid that forgot their lunch in their desk in elementary school. Like that's Amazon for the most part. Like, it is nuts. So yeah, Ring customers, enjoy the fact that your cost of your security system is about to double. Or, I'll just be brutally honest, look at other options. There are tons of competitors out there. Heck, Ring's security system was made. I mean, Ring was just originally just a doorbell. Then they just kind of expanded their market to then go ahead and compete directly with SimpliSafe, which was one of the original creators of the wireless security system. There's now plenty of other clones of this kind of service out there. Don't be afraid to shop around, especially if, for the most part, all you have is a handful of motion sensors and probably one or two door sensors, probably two door sensors if you have a whole house, the front door and the back door. I'm not saying you need to go buy something, but it probably wouldn't hurt to shop around. It's not like Ring's had a good track record anyway. As someone just said, there's someone in the chat just reminded us, Ring doesn't exactly have the best track record when it comes to privacy. But again, why the heck do tech companies can just get away with just saying something like this and then doing something radically different? Are they not afraid of being accused of false advertising? Well, one lawsuit involving Tesla would show you that, in fact, the answer is no, they are not afraid in any way, shape, or form. Elon Musk has won a lawsuit over the shareholders for quite possibly the dumbest reason possible. All right, hear this. Elon claims since the very beginning of Tesla that not the very beginning of Tesla, but ever since the Model S, that eventually the car will be able to do full self-driving. It has been long past due to deliver on actual results outside of a tech demo. There is still not full Tesla self-driving available to anyone that paid for the $6,000 to $10,000 software update. There has still been no delivery of this feature, and this feature was promised since the Model S. Shareholders sued Elon for not fulfilling this promise. Elon has won the lawsuit because it was ruled that these claims were just blustering and that no reasonable person would have believed that these statements were true. You ever want to know why companies believe they can get away with this? Why they can get away with lying to the customers' faces? This is why. Because this is how the legal system goes ahead and treats blatant false advertising. For the judge to go ahead and say that no reasonable person would believe Elon, I want to point to the cult of Elon. You know the people, the true believers on the Twitters and Discords and Reddits that swear that Elon will deliver full self-driving, will go ahead and colonize the moon, and will I don't know, make sun people. What else has he said that's just been nuclear blast proof glass? He went ahead and said that on an actual frickin' stage. At least now, whenever I get into an argument with an Elon fan, I can present this court case and say that they are not a reasonable person. That Elon fans are just not reasonable people. That legally, because they believe Elon, that there is something wrong with them. That's not the only good in this. Like, for crying out loud. I would hate to be a Tesla shareholder, because, man, by this now, legally, I cannot believe anything he says at his own shareholder meetings. Because now there is a legal precedent for refusing to believe anything for any of this. And someone in chat says I have other sites saying it wasn't a win but a dismissal. Dismissing the case means that it was a win. The lawsuit is from the shareholders against Elon. Because the case is dismissed, that means the shareholders lose and Elon wins. Literally the only way in this scenario of lawsuit that Elon can win is by the case being dismissed. What does Elon win? Not losing money. You know what the wild thing is? Here's the wild thing. You would think that because of this, Tesla stock is at a massive decline because, you know, the company has done basically nothing for a while. They haven't gone ahead and made any sort of massive innovations. The Cybertruck is a structural nightmare. There's tons of bad PR about it. They have no PR department to fight about it. Like, everything about Tesla shows that they are a company in decline, right? Take a look at their stock. It is actually on the rise and is actually right about where it was in 21. It's had some ups. It went all the way up to 400 in 2021. It went down in 2023. I think was that when Elon bought Twitter? Or it's at its lowest here at 113? It's at its up, it's down. It's had some massive peaks. It's had some valleys. But it's holding steady. So like someone in chat said, because it was a dismiss, they can still reframe and refile the suit. They absolutely can, and just hope they don't get that exact judge again. Because I think that I think that judge will not actually help. Twitter purchase was between April and October 2022. I need to bring up that chart again. When was that valley? So the beginning of April was actually when it was at a peak of April 1st was when it was at a peak of 361. I see a big sharp decline going into May. I assume that's about when the purchase happened. And then the valley is at the beginning of the following year. And I remember that like when Elon took over in October, in fact, here we can see October, there was another significant slide here from 303 in September all the way down to 205 in mid-October. Then we see another big slide all the way down to the valley here in January 1st of 2023. I imagine during that 3-month period is about when all the bad PR of letting tons of people go and a lot of the other like the early mismanagement question marks of how Twitter was going to go. I have a feeling that's what caused this valley. That's my theory anyway. It's hard to say for certain without actually looking it up, and we don't have time for that. Someone else has time for that. We got other things to cover. My point here is that the stock is holding relatively well. Oh, that's right. Someone in chat said that they announced price cuts, and that was also the time of the securities fraud trial. That is probably more likely the cause. That actually would have been when the COVID money would have dried up. So yeah, that's when there'd be a huge surplus. Yeah. No, that actually makes way more sense. Okay, so that's actually not Twitter related then at all. Okay. And the price just slowly climbed back up, just as more faith was restored in the company. So as of right now, the company has not taken a hit. I don't think they did, though. There was a slow climb to prior to the drop. But I don't think there was just like a massive rise before the drop. Yeah. Pandemic pricing, as chat said. All right, we need to move on because actually we need to take a break now. We've actually now exceeded our segment time. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about, actually, no, I'm going to talk about this one real quick. Because while there is the court case that Elon won TM, there's another one over in Australia that Elon did not win, where they were charged a admittedly very tiny fine of $418,000 for X to pay over their anti-child abuse probe. So Australia claimed that X did not do proper vetting of posts to make sure that child abusers were not caught within Australia using the X services. And there is a reason why I'm calling it X this time. All right. Don't panic. I haven't converted over to calling it X forever. All right. So Australia goes ahead and sues X because they are not doing enough over protecting child abuse. Do you know what X's claim is? I just want you to guess. What do you think would be the dumbest defense for why they didn't protect child abuse on the platform? What is the dumbest thing you could think of? The dumbest defense you could possibly present? Someone in chat says we are not responsible for what our users do. No, that's a decent defense. Good try, but that's a decent defense. Another one says children shouldn't be on there. That's not it. It's dumber. Someone else in chat says no staff. Good guess, but not the dumbest answer there is. Oh, no. The actual defense is far dumber than you could possibly imagine. Because Australia filed this claim against Twitter. The company's defense is Twitter doesn't exist. We're X now. It did not fly in the court. And the artist formerly known as Twitter needs to pay up. Needs to pay the fine. Slow freaking clap. So in case you thought the entire world was stupid, no, sometimes the correct answer is given out in a court of law. We're going to take a break here. When we come back, I want to dive into the gaming world, including what the heck is going on with Nintendo and how much it has just been fed up with emulation. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. It's time to go nuclear. At least that is the motto if you are at Nintendo, who have decided that, in fact, they're going to go after every single Switch emulator out there, because God help you if you want to go ahead and run your Switch games at above 15 frames per second. I wish in some cases I wasn't exaggerating. Like, the performance on the Switch is really showing. Like, this console is trying to do way more than it's capable of. And I applaud it for that. But performance gamers are just not impressed with it. So emulation is kind of key for that. But much like Yuzu and its forks, Ryujinx, the last known Nintendo Switch emulator, is dead. Taken out back quietly by Nintendo and shot in the face. Behind closed doors, Nintendo talked with the leadership at Ryujinx. No one knows what the deal is, but I mean, it could have just been hopefully, I'm hoping for the developers that it was as simple as a cease and desist and that Ryujinx shut down because I really don't want to see developers on these sort of passion projects like this end up having their livelihoods ruined by Nintendo. But at this time, we don't know what happened behind closed doors. We just know that pretty much the last Nintendo Switch emulator is dead. So, you know, that's kind of a shame. However, this may seem like a really hostile move by Nintendo, but this does not compare to the other hostile move Nintendo made this week against emulation. Nintendo went and issued not one, but 2 copyright strikes to the YouTube channel Retro Game Corps for showing The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds running on a handheld emulation device and using the title screen of the game as grounds to issue the strikes. Keep in mind, these are not takedown requests. They are not copyright claims. These are copyright strikes. Copyright strikes on YouTube have very strong implications. Even one strike is really bad on YouTube, meaning that your channel is shut down for a temporary amount of time and recent monetization is being held as you are reviewed for it. 2, it gets even worse as the review process takes a month. 3, your channel is deleted, obliterated, annihilated, gone from existence, never to be seen again, case closed. This is the declaration Nintendo has made now, that if you dare show a Nintendo game of any age running on emulation on YouTube, they will take the strongest measures against you and end that channel. That is the signal they're sending off to everyone. Here's what's wild about this. There are tons of communities that are very favorable to Nintendo that revolve around not only emulation, but mods of older games. The biggest one that comes to mind is actually A Link to the Past. There is a huge racing community among the Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past community, specifically around a very robust randomizer mod. Any runner of this mod is at risk of being struck because they are not running the game as originally intended. That is chilling. And you could say that, well, I mean, copyright laws are in such a way that, in fact, if Nintendo doesn't defend their stuff, then, then Nintendo could possibly lose their claim of the copyright. That's just how Japanese law works. This is going well beyond what anyone believes is required of it. This is strictly Nintendo saying you have to run it the way we want or else. Heck, this has affected my actual streaming channels. This has affected how I stream on YouTube now, because we stream on YouTube and Twitch. On Twitch, Nintendo has shown no signs of wanting to shut down any aspect of emulation. Quite frankly, for whatever reason, Japan just doesn't really like acknowledging Twitch exists. For whatever reason, anything Japanese thrives on YouTube, but not Twitch, even though for live content, Twitch is the better experience compared to YouTube. It's a weird sort of, it's weird in the entertainment space right now, especially for independent entertainment, right? They're only going after on YouTube. And we recently, thank God, finished finally a Pokemon randomizer run. A very long Pokemon randomizer run, which was all my fault. Last episode was not broadcast on YouTube because I don't want to risk my channel. I don't want to risk there being any more VODs or videos of me obviously using emulation, because you can see my mouse interacting with the touchscreen. That's what this has boiled down to. And I gotta ask, what's the end game? Okay, yeah, sure. Nintendo wants to go ahead and make sure they control all avenues of accessing nostalgic content. I get that. It's a much better business decision. However, hear me out. I guarantee you, newer generations would never know what A Link to the Past is if it wasn't for the Link to the Past randomizer. I guarantee it. I'm also willing to bet that Pokemon, the older games, would show very little interest in younger generations without things like the randomizers and the near infinite number of other ROM hacks that exist for the older games. I'm sure many of you can point out many other Nintendo games, old school ones, that are given a second life that no one ever predicted because of fan-built communities. Smash Brothers Melee is another one that comes to mind. But instead, Nintendo would rather take a look at all these fan passion projects, see them as the enemy, and ruin them. And I'm not gonna lie, it's disappointing. Zone in chat says Super Mario 3 and World. You know, it's funny that those are mentioned, because I have to wonder if it weren't for the many challenge ROM hacks of those Super Mario games, would Nintendo have ever made Mario Maker? I wonder. I would say that's one of the rare moments where Nintendo sees what the community does and embraces it and profits off it and makes something that both benefits them and the community. That's the rare Nintendo going ahead and seeing the community and making an overround win. God forbid they do that with the other thriving communities. God, could you imagine if Nintendo made an official Legend of Zelda randomizer? Legend of Zelda Maker? That would be fascinating. But no. It's better to go ahead and stifle creativity and basically put all content creators under the threat of having their entire careers ruined. Because that's what Retro Game Corp is now looking at. They are now looking at one more copyright strike, they're done. Their livelihoods are over. So now they're going to have to go ahead and, as they move forward with their content, to basically just never touch never touch Nintendo ever again. Or if they do it in a very, very specific way and just say, all right, never again. Someone in chat said that level design for Zelda would be too complicated. Mario levels are more linear. The thing is that they put in a lot of complex tools for Mario Maker in it. Like, the power you have in Mario Maker is kind of crazy. Like, I could almost make a Zelda level in Mario Maker, except it would end up being, a platformer Zelda instead of a top-down Zelda, I'm not going to argue that, they're the same. Zelda is more complicated than Mario, but the gap is between a Zelda Maker and a Mario Maker is not as big as you'd think. I think they could do it. Will they, though? It's hard to say. Let's instead make fun of Sony, because that's always fun. Sony went ahead and added ads to your home screen. The PS5 home screen will instead replace unique video game art on your home screens with annoying ads that you can't turn off. You know what's even better about this? A couple days after this happened, and by a couple days after, I mean one, Sony announced that these annoying ads was an error and has since been fixed. So if you have a PS5 for one day and one day only, your game art was replaced by ads. And that was an oopsie whoopsie on behalf of Sony, to which I have to ask, what are you doing that this can be an error that happens? I'm serious. What do you have in the background that someone accidentally that you can accidentally turn on ads for so many people? It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? Wonderful. So, yeah, someone in chat said, oops, we released it early. That's what I'm wondering. How long until this is just a feature on Sony's part? I mean, already I'm to the point where when it comes to streaming on my PS4, I start the stream already with the game on the title screen. I do this just for aesthetic reasons. I feel like more people are gonna have to do that just for not putting annoying ads in front of their viewers reasons. Next question. How long until the ads are unskippable? Now here's the real question. When they finally do roll out this feature that they may or may not do, will it include company layoffs? That's just the hot trend lately. You know, increase revenue by any means necessary and then lay off people. The games industry, am I right? It's beyond annoying. Speaking of trends in the game industry, Epic Games says that they are now financially sound after they laid off 800 staff. Yippee! They're safe! Yay! How fantastic for these for the people that were not fired. The games industry is in such a very, very strange space right now. It really is. Every company you think would be doing decent is not. Every company that you think would go ahead and do very well isn't. And other companies you thought were untouchable are currently in danger of being bought out. You want to know how bad some companies are doing? Let's look at Ubisoft. All right, Ubisoft. They have been on a tear lately of ticking people off. They have been pros at this. They have been incredible at just going ahead and being very, very disappointing. Their stock price is way down. They have not launched a favorable game in a while, and now their stock price is going back up. Good news, right? No. It's because Tencent and Guillemot, whatever their name is reportedly looking at buying out Ubisoft. I would say this is a worst case scenario for Ubisoft, but then again, I think Ubisoft remaining Ubisoft is the worst case scenario for Ubisoft, because Ubisoft's doing a very bad job of sustaining itself right now. They're just terrible at it. And can you think of a worse buyer for Ubisoft than Tencent? Tencent. For those who are unaware of what Tencent does, they are a Chinese gaming company that basically just makes hot garbage and then microtransactions the absolute heck out of them and then just rakes in a fortune. Tencent makes what Activision did for all their games look generous. Because at least Activision makes a decent game. Tencent doesn't even do that. And then soon, reportedly, Ubisoft may just end up being a big old puppet for a massive cash grab. This basically would mean the end of any sort of quality out of Ubisoft. It is going to be all about pumping out the cheapest crap they can, microtransaction it, and then move on to the next. Assassin's Creed as a quality project would end if this deal goes through. I mean, it's not good, but at the same time, Ubisoft is not in a good position right now. It's good news for the investors. They'll make out like bandits. It'll be a great stock to hold, but I'm not exaggerating when I say that the stockholders would be literally the only winners if this deal goes through. Meanwhile, though, Mozilla, the makers of Mozilla Firefox, are looking at a new advertising method. Mozilla has been actually working on this for a while now. This would, in fact, be one of the first advertising platforms in a while that would do targeted advertising without harvesting data. I'm not going to lie. Very awesome if true. But that is the key. If true. It's hard to say whether this new platform from Mozilla, what do they call this thing? I am blanking out on the actual name of this. I had it earlier and now it's just gone. Anonym, there it is. Jeez, I can't believe it took me that long to go ahead and find the name of this. Anonym is the name of the advertising platform that they are trying to build. We're going to have to see down the road how privacy focused Anonym ends up being. But Firefox or Mozilla says they are closer and closer to having this be a reality. Speaking of having things being closer and closer to being a reality, Meta is having video making be a thing of the past, as their new Meta Movie Gen is now able to make up to 16-second videos incredibly well and with sound. And you can tell that they are very topical because they went ahead and have a video of a very tiny hippo staying underwater as their demonstration video. I see what you're doing, Meta. You can't fool me. I know exactly what you're doing. However, you grabbed the wrong kind of hippo. You should have grabbed a baby pygmy hippo with the shorter snoot. But yeah, no, I cannot wait for this tool to be used by grifters and just generate metric tons of AI generated slop, flood video websites with them, and that my TikTok and YouTube feeds end up being nothing but AI generated nonsense. I can't wait. It's gonna be fan-frickin-tastic. I mean, it's already there, but I'm not gonna lie, I hate this. I'm tired of it, you know? I really end. Someone in chat says some slop is already out. Oh, of course it is. Anyone who actually use like stupid stuff on TikTok or YouTube shorts, they already know about some of the most infamous slop, like, oh, I don't know, the room remodeling videos where it always uses galvanized square steel and eco-friendly wood veneers and screws borrowed from your aunt. How many other really dumb ones are out there? Ugh. You could list off tons of AI generated slop that's out there. It's crazy. It's crazy what's all out there. In other AI news, though, Microsoft is getting closer to catching up with ChatGPT. You can tell because they're revamping their AI co-pilot with new voice and reasoning capabilities. Oh, yes. Top tier stuff. You know it's great when you know that Microsoft is basically just using older versions of ChatGPT, but then it becomes even more blatantly obvious when a little bit later they announced the exact same features ChatGPT rolls out. Look at that, they have Copilot voice a few weeks after ChatGPT voice comes out. Oh, and it has new reasoning capabilities just like ChatGPT. You know what though? I'll be honest. I appreciate this. I appreciate the honesty. No, seriously, I do. I actually do legitimately appreciate this honesty from Microsoft. Okay. There we go. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty there. It's all fixed now. But anyway, back to my point. I appreciate this honesty. I really do. Because Microsoft before would just try to deny that Copilot is not just ChatGPT, that they're doing actual research for this sort of thing. And there is some development that goes into ChatGPT, or to Copilot, I'm sorry, to make sure that it actually does compare to the capabilities of ChatGPT. But they're finally acknowledging that, no one cares. And they're right. The only people who care about the capabilities of Copilot and ChatGPT are big enough nerds in the tech space to know that Microsoft has a massive monetary investment in ChatGPT and OpenAI. Anyone who uses Copilot knows that they're in cahoots. So why bother hiding it? You might as well just announce the exact same features in the exact same way that OpenAI does. Makes perfect sense to me. So you know what? I applaud you, Microsoft. Good job. Good job at finally admitting it. We're going to go ahead and take our probably last break here. When we come back, I want to talk about one of the most beloved-ish programs that Microsoft has retired, as well as more news from the gaming space, including, I'm actually trying to find it now. Where's my other news? Oh yeah, Starfield. We'll talk about Starfield. That'll be fun. We'll be back. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. I have bad news, everyone. Another beloved piece of Windows kit is about to be retired. You'll no longer have basic integration for rich text-based documents. WordPad is going to be going the way of the dinosaur. As of Windows 11 24H2, I forgot what the naming cycle is for that, but apparently one of the soon to be released patches, WordPad will no longer be available on Windows. I don't know if that means that WordPad is going to just be gone entirely, that is just going to vanish off your computer, or if it's just never going to receive updates again and just be left to rot, or if it just means that fresh installs will not have it. I don't know, because I was told that MS Paint's supposed to be gone, and I'm 99 or Paint. No, MS Paint was supposed to be gone, then it came back. 3D Paint's supposed to be gone, but my actual up-to-date Windows 11 PC has both. I don't know anymore. That's what it boils down to. And I just gotta ask, okay? I understand the desire to remove bloat, but look at the trend that Windows 11 has been having, okay? We see more and more and more forced advertising of certain Microsoft products and more of basic tools being removed. One of which still is the only way to get access to certain functions of your computer. The default Windows control panel is being removed. And I do not believe they have added the functionality of the control panel into Windows settings yet. It's nuts. It's Looney Tunes. And quite frankly, you know, some of these apps you may think, oh, they're relics of the past. Who uses Notepad anymore? That's just basic TXT files. Do you have any idea how many times for some basic files I just fire up edit in Notepad to just quickly like change an IP address because it changed on the network for a configuration file? All the time. Now I gotta go download Notepad++ like a freaking actual coder. Yeah. I mean, there's ways around it. Other solutions exist. But why take the functionality away? It didn't hurt anyone. It's the same thing with WordPad. I actually use WordPad on a regular basis to jot down my notes for this podcast. MS Paint, there's plenty of people who use MS Paint just for basic resizing. Heck, there's one Twitch streamer out there that is well known, infamous even, for using MS Paint exclusively to make very quick, crude diagrams about an important topic he's talking about. You all know which Goblin Lord I'm talking about. The applications aren't hurting everyone, so why are we going down the path of making the operating system more hostile to its user while taking away functionality that was nice to just have built into the bloody thing? You have this, think about this for a minute. Young kids will never know, but back in the day, on a fresh install of Windows, you could play pinball. Even further back, there used to be a skiing mini game built into Windows. There used to be games just with every single copy of Windows. For you old folks out there, those games are no longer in Windows. You don't even come with Solitaire and Minesweeper anymore. You have to download them after the fact. It's insane. It's silly. It's just, why? Why would you do this? Microsoft, what does this accomplish? Someone in chat says apparently they're killing 3D Paint too. Nobody used 3D Paint. Don't worry about that. I know I'm making a big stink about taking away game or functionality that didn't hurt anyone, but literally no one used 3D Paint. I'm not in favor of 3D Paint being removed. I just don't care. Kind of like Spider Solitaire. I didn't miss Spider Solitaire being removed from Windows either. No one used that. And you psychopaths that did play Spider Solitaire because you knew how the game played, I just want you to know you're sick in the head. I know who you people are. And we all know there's something wrong with you if you know how to play Spider Solitaire. You know what the worst part is? No one's going to email me in protest of that statement. Because they're going to go, yeah, you right. Now, when all is said and done, I just got to ask, why? What is the reason for this? And maybe it's because, I don't know if it's because I just suck at looking up Microsoft rationale, but I cannot for the life of me find any sort of written statement from Microsoft as to why they are just getting rid of this. Someone in chat said, and before Eagle's mom writes him a protest email. No, first off, I know my mom doesn't know how to play Spider Solitaire. My mom barely knows how to play regular Solitaire. I do know that her Microsoft card game of choice was Hearts, which is also gone from Windows. And that's another one that I'm willing to bet that very few people actually know how to play Hearts. Someone in chat asked, isn't Solitaire easy to know how to play? Yes and no. The basics are very easy to grasp, but there's some rules of what you can and can't do that aren't as well known. Chat is insisting that my mom is going to write me a scathing email protesting that she did not. I'm going to text her later now and ask her if she knows how to play Spider Solitaire. I don't think she actually listens to this podcast because here, you want to know how I know when friends or family of mine do not listen to this podcast? Because they ask me later on down the road, like the week after a major announcement, they ask, oh, hey, what did Apple announce anyway? That's how I know they don't want to listen to the podcast, because they ask me later anyway. Their own quest to learn is their downfall. Now, honestly, like most people who ask me about tech stuff, I am also convinced have no idea how to set up a podcast. That's like a weird stigma that podcasting got pretty early on, that it's really hard to set up. It's not that bad anymore, but it used to be rough. You'd have to go get an RSS feed. You'd have to go ahead, throw that into your podcasting application of choice. You'd have to know what the heck that is. And if you're not very tech literate, you look at an RSS feed and you see a bunch of brackets and symbols you don't understand. You're just like, oh, that's scary. And you just go away from that and then just turn on whatever channel has your local news and just watch that instead and go, yay, I watch talk show. That's about how podcasts nowadays. Of course, it's not that bad. You go to Spotify, you hit follow, and you're done. It's way simpler now than it used to be. But there's still that weird stigma that only the like very tech savvy listen to podcasts, and it doesn't have to be the case. But it's just going to forever keep that mentality, and I don't think there's anything we can do to fix that. No matter how much other people are trying to, change that. Oh, well, what can you do? What can you do? You can instead be like Microsoft and then ask people. Microsoft right now is actually going around to their developers and saying, hey, why do you hate us? Why you no like Xbox? Why you not develop for Xbox? You know, that's a good question. Why you no develop for Xbox? Why you dislike Xbox? Here's the base reason. It's twofold. One is the fact that Microsoft has made it very public that they are going to try and move more and more and more people towards a subscription model. And Sony, although has a subscription model for games, seems more focused on keeping people on the traditional model. So developers feel they have a more stable income that way. There's that for starters. There's the other glaring issue by the fact that the two current consoles for Microsoft, one of them is 400% more powerful than the other, but you have to make your game work on both. I am telling you, the concept of the Xbox Series S and Series X was amazing on paper. Have one very low-cost console and one powerful console. Basically have the Pro and regular model right off the bat and have one at a much more affordable price point than the other. I mean, $300 for a game console right now, it feels like a steal. Because let's pretend for a minute you don't have a PC. All right, let's pretend you are looking to just get into gaming. You can have, for $300, a console that connects to your TV that is very powerful and plays games really well, or for a little more than $300, have this little tablet thing that connects in a dock, has about 4 hours of battery life outside the dock, and plays at a maximum of 20 FPS, but has not a very mainstream, well, actually has a fairly kind of has a limited mainstream game library. Like the Nintendo Switch, I love this console. I wish it was more capable than it is. But the Nintendo Switch, when you look at games that are on all three of them, games on Nintendo Switch make huge compromises. There's no mistaking that. There's also the fact, like, if you're getting a Nintendo Switch, let's be honest, you are not getting a Nintendo Switch because you'd rather have its form factor over the Xbox or the PlayStation. You are getting the Nintendo Switch because the Nintendo Switch has games that you really want. You are getting it because of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. You are getting it because of pick a Mario game. You are getting it because, I was about to say because of Advance Wars, but I'm the only one who did that. It's unfortunate. You get my point, though. The game library is why you get a Switch. Xbox has a lot of crossover titles with Sony, but if you're looking at exclusives, Xbox doesn't have a whole lot of exclusives. Sony does. And the things that are Xbox and Sony exclusive are also becoming available on the PC. It makes trying to develop just for the Xbox kind of a hard sell. There's no mistaking that. It's hard to do so. But it's all to take in when the next generation comes out in, what do we say, 3 years? 2 years? Kind of weird that it does not feel like these consoles have been out that long, but they're roughly about halfway through their life cycle now. 2, 3, 4 years. We talk about the next generation Xbox and the PlayStation 6, of which the Xbox will be called the Xbox XZs, and then the PS6 will cost $1,000. If either of those two predictions are correct, I am going to cry. I'm just going to put that out there. If it's actually going to be called the Xbox XYZ or XZs, and the PS5 and the PS6 cost $1,000, I'm just, the podcast announcing that is just going to be me broadcasting from a bed crying into a pillow. That might be the saddest prediction ever. That's all there is to it. Speaking of sad, how about the iX-Ray project? This was a project by a couple of college students who used this wonderful meta-built augmented reality goggles, using existing goggles, along with custom-built software to combine facial recognition software with info lookup abilities, along with LLMs, to make augmented reality glasses that recognize people's faces and then tell you their name and everything you'd ever want to know about them, including their address and phone number. To make matters even worse, this document has details and instructions on how you can make this yourself. If you wanted to sign that, you know, your privacy is irrelevant anymore and you live in a cyberpunk dystopian, here you go. That's it. It's all of this is horrifying. And the worst part is there's probably a number of you that thought about the idea of facial recognition data and using this with AR, with augmented reality glasses, to be able to glance at someone you kind of forgot about, be reminded instantly of their name and their basics. And it's just like, you know, that's really helpful. That's one thing for people you should know. What about for people you don't know? Imagine a complete stranger wearing glasses coming up to you and calling you out by your full name. It's scary stuff. I mean, it's bad enough. I've actually had this happen a couple of times, and I'm not that well known of a guy. I've had it happen a couple of times where I'm just grocery shopping and you're down the aisle. Oh, hey, Eagle. And I'm like, what the fuck? Who the? It's scary stuff. It's nuts. I can only imagine how that would freak out someone who doesn't put themselves online, put a camera on them. I mean, heck, I know one of the reasons all the VTubers went ahead and do what they do is specifically so that they can go ahead and go out in public and not worry about being recognized in public. With these, no one would need to know. They'd never need to know anything about you. This is a privacy nightmare, and it's available with technology that exists right now. Anyway, let's quickly shift gears before you're terrified anymore. NVIDIA, they're gonna switch you to their all-in-one app, and it's gonna replace GeForce Experience later this year. So if you use NVIDIA Experience, get ready for all your driver stuff to be in a new app. Yay. I'm so not looking forward to this. I just want to just install my driver and not have any third-party software run. That's all I want. It's bad enough when I go ahead and try to build a minimalist PC or like some kind of budget gaming rig that if I try to target a console, I have to build something better than the console to match the console because of all the bloat that ends up happening with all of this. I don't need it to increase, especially since the mark to beat now is $800 thanks to Sony. So thanks, NVIDIA. Thank you for more bloat. I hate it. Oh, something I do like though. Google. They're going to be testing verified check marks in search so that while you're searching websites that are verified to actually be the correct business, will have verified check marks next to it. I cannot wait for some shifty website to find a way to emulate the check marks. I also like how someone in chat did earlier, I didn't want to acknowledge it, but I kind of got a chuckle at one thing now. They tried to put down my phone number as 8675309, which is obviously not correct. That is a very obvious, well-known fake phone number. They got my area code wrong too. Ah! I'm too far out in the boonies to have 414 now. Ah! There you go. Now you got it. Now all you gotta do is try all the phone numbers in that area code until you find mine. That won't take forever at all. So yeah, Google testing verified check marks. This should be on paper be a good idea. I can't wait to find someone trying to spoof stuff to find a way to emulate the check mark. It's gonna happen. I almost guarantee it. YouTube Shorts, YouTube's TikTok competitor. They're now getting longer. YouTube Shorts are now going to be allowed to be as long as 3 minutes. Now, I know what you're thinking. Who cares? Eagle, seriously. They're just short videos. I only watch the first 5 seconds to find out they're garbage and then just scroll on. Let me tell you something. As someone who does make content for shorts, and I put them on multiple platforms. I used to put them on, I say used to because I've been so busy with work I haven't had a chance to, but I've put them on, YouTube, I put them on TikTok, I put them on Instagram, I put them on Twitter. Oh yeah, and they also go on Facebook. I knew there was one I was missing. Oh, they go on as much as I can. All right. YouTube had the shortest restriction of all of them. Twitter is like 5 minutes is the limit, I think. No, actually, no, theirs is way longer now. Oh no, I think it might be 2 minutes if you don't pay for Twitter. If you do pay for Twitter, you can do longer, I think. I'm now second guessing that because they've changed the rules over the years. Instagram, I know, is 2 minutes. Facebook, I think, is indefinite. TikTok is up to 5. YouTube was the shortest at 1. So I had to make sure that all the videos fell under 1 minute. And it actually made some clips unusable because I couldn't get all the context of the funny moment in under 1 minute. Now I can. Now I can get it all in. Well, now I can go ahead and make them up to 2 minutes because now YouTube's not the shortest one. If you only do YouTube Shorts and TikTok, you're up to 3. It's good stuff. I, for one, support this. They've also changed their UI so that more of their elements don't obstruct nearly as much of the video. And not gonna lie, the UI on the phone is way better. Good adjustments. I approve. They're also changing how the remix feature goes. I forgot exactly how, and I never use remix. But we'll see it more when it actually launches. I'm not gonna lie, when I make my shorts, I literally use DaVinci Resolve. I actually use a professional tool, not the remix and frickin' phone editing app. That's just for silly playtime things. All right, we're actually supposed to be taking another break here. I actually ranted way too long on the Microsoft stuff, but we actually don't have a whole lot more to talk about. So let's just go through our last 4 topics and save you guys another ad break. First up, Samsung pushed out a faulty update and it leaves owners bricked with a few Galaxy phones with a few options. So there was a software update that pushed out on October 2nd. And if you had an older Galaxy phone, you're just suddenly SOL because it can actually just put your phone into a boot loop. Not gonna lie, freaking Samsung looks less and less like an attractive option for long-term staying with your phone. But I don't know what it is about Samsung and their phones. It just gets worse and worse the more and more you look into how they operate. Oh well, what can you do? What can you do? Well, if you have had a problem with this, well, the only thing you can do is go to your phone provider and just hope they can go ahead and unbrick your phone. I hate to say it, that pretty much is all you can do. For now, though, hopefully better news will come for Samsung's. Someone in chat said they thought they thought the exploding battery thing from years ago would have led people away from Samsung phones. You would have thought, but no, it does not. It absolutely, it did warn a lot of people away. Samsung though handled the exploding phone thing, I shouldn't say exploding, the combusting phone problem relatively well. All things considered, they handled that very well. I will give them that. But you know, getting a phone and having it suddenly brick on you, yeah, not good. Not good. I'm not saying that an exploding phone is better than a bricked phone. It's just disappointing. It's also kind of surprising that I'm actually kind of surprised that Apple didn't bite more of a backlash regarding God, what was it? It was the iPhone 4, right? Yeah, it was the iPhone 4. And it's and its death grip. The fact that they had like a batch of phones that didn't have a coating on it, so that if you grip the phone in a very normal way, it shorted the antenna and caused the signal to instantly die. And then tried to say every phone does this. Every phone does this. Rather than just admit, yeah, we had a bad batch. Some days Steve Jobs was just interesting. Starfield launched an expansion. Starfield Shattered Space launched, and if you didn't hear about it, congratulations. You are an average person. Yeah, Starfield launched and like nobody knew about it. And it turns out that the new expansion for the game Starfield was very meh. Not a lot of people cared, like at all. Rip. Had a apparently hooking opening, a strong ending, and the middle was so meh that everyone ignored it. Not unlike the actual game. Keep in mind though, this is what reviewers are saying. I'm willing to bet the actual game players care about it even less. They're probably more interested to finding out what the day before is doing. Yeah, the studio behind the day before, a scam game that, well, this game was infamous. How many people remember the day before? The day before spent over a year trying to hype up their extraction shooter, trying to show off MMO-like features and all the things they'd actually launch with, only for it to delay and then actually launch as something radically different. And they just tried to take all their money, shut down, run with it, and Steam went ahead and said not so fast and refunded everyone. All within 24 hours of the launch of the game. For some insane reason, after all that, the studio from the day before is now back on Kickstarter, trying to get people to donate for a highly anticipated survival game. Don't do it. Don't support them. Just don't. Just don't. It's that simple. Just don't. Just don't support this game at all. Don't support conmen. It's that simple. Don't support conmen. Best advice you're gonna get from me today. And finally, we turn to the last burb, the last story of the day, the weirdest story of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, did you know that Tekken want to add a very specific character to their roster? They wanted to have an iconic character on the Tekken roster. And I'm not going to lie, it would have been amazing. The character that Tekken wanted to add, Colonel Sanders. You know what? Unfortunately, KFC said no to the deal to add Colonel Sanders to the roster. But hear me out. Okay? We got a good collab going. All right? We can make this a huge crossover marketing opportunity. All right? License out Colonel Sanders for the fighting game, right? Partner up with Waffle House to make Waffle House a new stage in the Tekken game as DLC, then head to McDonald's to, as part of this crossover, to have Ronald McDonald and Grimace added as Tekken characters. I'm just saying, this would be the absolute best DLC to come to Tekken ever. Unfortunately, it looks like KFC doesn't want to play ball at all. But I'm telling you, Ronald McDonald versus Colonel Sanders in a Waffle House, your sales double. Right there. Just right there. Even people who don't play fighting games will go ahead and buy this just to go ahead and recreate that matchup inside Tekken. It'd be amazing. It would be simply amazing. And the fact that the Tekken boss, the actual head of the guy in charge of Tekken, actually wanted this in a AAA fighting game. You know what? for all the gaming companies that continue to just disappoint again and again and again, it's good to know that out there are still major studios that are passionate enough about their games to go ahead and experiment with incredibly silly concepts. Folks, that is going to do it for this episode of Eagle Eyes on Tech. Thank you so much for listening, and I do encourage you to check out my other works, twitch.tv/EagleFalcon and youtube.com/EagleFalcon. Take care. I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye. Now I gotta ask here real quick, what other crazy freaking fast food mascots could we get inside of Tekken? Actually, just what other corporate mascots would be amazing? And that what would make for an iconic stage? Someone in chat says the BK King. That's a very good one. Wendy, that's another good one. What would be a good stage, though? We can't have just the Waffle House. Although the Waffle House is, like, super iconic here in the U.S. Ooh, 7-Eleven? That would absolutely work. This is going to be a lot of people to go ahead and work with, but man, if they could cook and could get these major franchises to go ahead and cooperate, ooh, that would be top notch. Someone in chat says the Iron Chef map. Oh my god. No. Iron Chef map. Characters Gordon Ramsay and Bobby Flay. We got it. We know how to just... We are very close to just turning Tekken with all of this into just official Mugen. How many people even remember Mugen or even know what Mugen is? A man can dream, though. A man can dream.